I think for the new bolos this year, we should add best podcast.
There we go.
Best podcast. No, I don't want to be the mayor. That's a really difficult question. I think that would be a blast to be like an authentic Italian baker.
Secret talent or hidden hobby? I was...
Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Oh, that's right. It is All About You, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out on our social media up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, home loan expert.
You probably recognize Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team. Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
You've seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's part of the top 2 producing real estate agents in the city.
Yeah, thanks. It's season 6, bro. Moving along. You're probably thinking to yourself, God, could this show get any better? Well, yeah, we have a new set this year.
What are they, rich?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. Sponsorship rolling in. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Logan Rader and Monika Wicke of New Mexico Living on KRQE Channel 13. Just more celebrities rolling through the studio to say hi.
We're not above the common man, though, either.
No.
We love to bring them in.
Yeah.
Everyone. But
Joe the plumber. Yeah, he'll be on next, dude. But yeah, and then obviously stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite, Skip's Tips. Grant, dude, it's been a while. Went on a little break there for the holidays. I see you got your Lobos. What is that sweater?
This is actually from a store in Detroit called Grayson, and they incorporate wolves, and they also like incorporate the sports teams in Detroit, the Tigers and Lions and Bears. Oh my!
Well,
not Bears.
You're a big alpaca guy, so I figured that was alpaca fur and alpaca.
For those of you who don't know your shapes, this is a wolf, and they're not. They're aggressive, whereas alpacas will not eat the sheep.
You look like a sniper almost with the background behind you.
Is this the opposite? Look, I'm embracing the.
No, it looks like you're wearing camo today.
Okay, can you see me?
No, I sure can't. Speaking of holidays, Christmas gifts, one thing I did this year is I became an expert in hot sauces. Shout out again to All Night Allen, got me a gift, a home hot sauce kit.
Yeah.
And so I took it upon myself to go ahead and make hot sauces for those I care about. When it comes to real estate and home affordability, a recent article said that home affordability and millennials are kind of button heads. So few millennials believe that their generation can afford a home, and most are so desperate for an affordable purchase, they'd be willing to buy a home with serious defects. Good news, I got a couple listings for you. According to a new survey by Clever Real Estate, 21% of millennials believe that their generation can afford a home, a substantial decline from 52% earlier in the year. In fact, 57% of millennials said their desire to be homeowners means they'd be willing to purchase a home that smells like cigarettes. 41% said they'd purchase a home with asbestos in it, and 40% said that they'd be willing to buy a house with pests in it, like rats, rodents, mice.
I don't think they really realize the scare of asbestos. I mean, it's kind of alarming on 2 counts that they would suffer from that or feel like they wouldn't suffer from it. That's alarming too. But it is the disparity in affordability and this next generation. I feel like I'm kind of the liaison with the older generation complains about the millennials, and I'm like, here's what they're up against, here's what you guys have. They're not so spoiled. At the same time, we actually do kind of see maybe a small work ethic thing, or they're above certain jobs, and so that's kind of a conundrum right here. If enough people say that I'm not willing to do these jobs and they have this sentiment, then it is true, right? The perception, it becomes reality if those are your driving factors. So,
well, as a first-time home buyer, you definitely overlook the costs of being a homeowner, right?
Yeah.
You're basically limping into the transaction in the first place with your down payment, and then, oh shit, there's closing costs, and then there's moving costs.
And then there's like PlayStations for my rats.
And then you got to put on a new roof, and all of a sudden you're in the hole, and it's tough to dig out of. But either way, that first home is never going to be your dream home. It's just a catalyst to get you into the next one. Coming up next, here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Logan Rader and Monika Wicke of New Mexico Living, KRQE, Channel 13. Just more celebrities as we roll into season 6 here on You, ABQ.
Segment 2 coming up. back.
Yeah, welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip, real estate brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, home loan expert.
And we're joined in studio by Logan Rader and Monika Wicke of New Mexico Living on KRQE. And dude, you guys were our #1 requested guests of all time. Excited to have you guys here. Logan and Monika,
That's a fun little
Over
fact.
40 million people.
Yeah.
Where's that
#1
statistic?
requested?
Yeah.
We need that statistic.
That's a first for me.
Yes.
You guys should request a raise of
They were
whatever,
like,
whatever
can you
you're
guys
doing.
We can
leave?
and we will.
Can they just do your show also? We're like, no, we have a hard line at that. We have to remain on the show.
Yeah, you guys are loyal. Logan, Monika, excited to have you guys on the show. Obviously, we're big fans of yours. You know, we're a small show starting out, but you guys are well established. So this is a thrill to just see two successful individuals, at least in the TV game. So welcome.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
having
This
us,
is a
yeah.
thrill for us. I'm excited.
Well, Monika, let's talk a little bit about you because you're a Texas gal. You got that Texas flair with that hair. How on earth did you end up in Albuquerque?
Yeah, so born and raised in Grapevine, Texas, and kind of always knew that I wanted to be in television media. I feel very fortunate that I knew that pretty early on that that's what I wanted to do. So following that path, I wasn't playing a lot of guessing games. Got my first job out of college at a station in a Texas town that will remain nameless because it wasn't the most enjoyable experience for me.
on, tell 'em.
No, but we are always
Slander. Tell 'em.
But we are always very grateful for the foot in the door, right? Like that job that gives you the opportunity to continue to follow your dreams. So just wanted to get out of that situation. And I had been to Angel Fire, Taos, Red River when I was a lot younger. And I was like, I just need to get a new gig in the industry. I had transitioned from being like a reporter to a producer, so I was looking for a producer gig. Nexstar is the corporation that owns KRQE and it owned the station that I was at. And so I got on their website. Third job posting was for a producer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I said, great, I'm gonna apply. I didn't know what the shift was. I didn't know any of that. I was like, cool, this is far enough away from home that I feel like my own person. It's a new adventure. It's not so far that, you know, I can get home pretty easily. And applied, I heard back in a couple days, and that's pretty much all she wrote.
How long have you been in Albuquerque?
Since 2018.
Okay.
2018. I like that New Mexico lends itself in many ways, and you had picked up what New Mexico has to offer through ski resorts, right? Kind of a little known fact.
I didn't even Google Albuquerque when I applied.
Smart.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was just, I assumed, I
It's called
literally,
a trickle-down effect. You get to us eventually.
I assumed that Albuquerque just kind of looked like Taos, Angel Fire, and Red River until
Yeah,
I
no,
moved here.
spot on. People are
Like,
confused about
super
the time.
accurate.
Here we are in Taos again. Yeah.
Honestly, the greatest decision ever. I've loved it here ever since. I've been
that's
able
good
to
to
do a lot of different things.
Wait,
It's been really
Tell
cool.
them about your first shift at KRQE, what your shift was.
Oh, I did the graveyard shift for 2.5 years as a producer.
Tell 'em
So
what that
I
entails.
went in at 11 p.m. and I got off at 7 a.m.
That's more of my style.
Yeah, this guy over
I would
here.
have joined you. I'm like, hey,
It was brutal. It was brutal, but hey, you know what? You pay your dues, right? Like you start where you can
Yeah.
and you work your way up. And I'm very fortunate that the opportunities fell where they did. And I had really supportive management staff that encouraged me to kind of, step out of what I think conventional ideas of, oh, if you're a producer, you're a producer, and you can't challenge that. Like I, was given the opportunity to step into an on-air role, and
Well, I
that's
feel
been
like
fantastic.
that's the common story, and Logan, you could probably speak to this though. But getting into media, it's not like they're like, you know what, you should be on camera day
Right.
one. I mean, so what's your experience? I mean, you're a Roswell kid.
Yeah, so my story is I was big into sports growing up, right? I played football, basketball, and baseball. Loved that. Wanted to go play collegiately and realized that I wasn't going to be able to. Didn't have those skills, right? So I went to UNM and I was like, well, I want to be around sports. So what can I do that's around sports? I was like, I'll be an athletic trainer. That's what I wanted to be. So I declared my major as an exercise science major. And I remember I got to the point where I was taking organic chemistry, and you'll love this story. So I couldn't pass organic chemistry, and here's the story.
Can anyone?
Well, some people do. I remember I studied so hard for the first test with a buddy of mine. We studied for hours and hours and hours. And I was like, I've got to pass this class. I'm struggling to understand, but I think I can do it. I go in for that first test. There's 30 questions on it. All right, I take the test, and I felt good about 75% of them. And then there was 25% where I was like, I have no clue
Roll the
what
dice.
that was. So a couple weeks go by, we get that test back. And like I told you, there was 30 questions on the test. And I get my test back, and it says 26 at the top with a big circle around it. I was like, 26 out of 30 is
great.
not
Yeah.
bad.
Freaking smart.
Awesome. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. This is great. I meet up with my buddy who was also taking the class with me, and I was like, what'd you get? And he was like, 65. And I go, did you do that math? How did you? He goes, no, I got a 65. And he turns around, he has a 65 on his. And I was all, oh my gosh.
I got my name wrong.
I got a 26.
honestly.
I got a 26 out of 100 on that first test. I was like, holy cow. Took the second test,
Check,
got a
please.
52, dropped the
I got
class.
52 out of 30. I must have really killed it.
Dropped
I got
the
my name
class.
right that time.
Dropped the class, was no longer an exercise science major, declared journalism and multimedia, set me back a year, so I was a 5-year guy at UNM, and then I graduated with my degree in journalism and multimedia. Thinking I was going to get into sports as a sports reporter. There's not many jobs. I had offers in other places, but it was like, you can make barely enough money to get ramen or in Oregon, or you could, so I started dating a girl who's now my wife at the time. So I was like, and she's from Albuquerque, so I was like, I kind of want to stay here. I just got my degree in journalism. What can I do? So I applied at some news stations, and I got a job over at KOAT as the prompter operator.
Nice.
So
what year was this?
This was 2016.
Do you remember Patrick Brewer?
Of course I know Patrick Brewer, yeah.
One of my good friends.
No way!
Yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah, there we go.
So I worked there for 7 months as a prompter operator. That's all I did. I was called an associate producer. So that's what I told my girlfriend at the time. I was like,
no big deal.
We won't pay you. We'll pay you in title.
Yeah, exactly.
You show these business cards around, it'll make up for the wage gap.
I'd tell her, I go, yeah, Taylor, I'm an associate producer at Channel 7. Pretty big deal. And I would show up to work and I'd wear dress pants and dress shirt and tie. And people were like, why is this prompter operator dressed up better than reporters? I was like, and so I did that for 6 months, and then a producer position opened up at KRQE. I got my foot in the door there as an entry-level producer, worked my way into Lifestyle, kind of the talk show, and I was the producer for the 7 and 8 and New Mexico Living for 4 years before ending up getting the opportunity to be the host.
So you guys have producer roots and background. Yep. Do you find yourself doing both now, or is there a distinct, tell me about that.
We definitely do both.
Yeah.
Now, I'm too much of a control freak to ever let my show be in 100% someone else's hands. I've got to have some producing aspect to it. That's just me. But it's nice because it allows me to really be well versed in what's going to come in the show. So I do definitely like to channel some of that producer when we build the show, when we look at how we want to stack things, how we want to structure certain segments.
Yeah.
And then the bonus is that I actually just get to then front the work that I do. So that's pretty cool.
I think it's important to we talked about this before the show, it's important to like your guests, it's important to believe in the story and the people, because it comes across as genuine. You do a better job when you like the stuff you're talking about. And anything in sports, and if you like your sport, you like your position, if you like any part of your job, you're going to do better than someone going, here's your, read this.
Turn the
shut
teleprompter.
Exactly. One thing about being a producer, especially whenever it's you're a lifestyle producer, being able to write in the voice of your anchor is huge. If you can learn to do that, then you'll have a leg up as a producer.
Do you ever dream in the voice of your producer? You just like some people dream in
Adrian's
Spanish.
voice sound like in our dreams?
When I was a producer, I remember, because I used to be a producer. I did the 7 o'clock hour, the 8 o'clock hour, and then I did New Mexico Living. I did all 3, and so I would write for Crystal Gutierrez and David Romero and Chad Brummett, who was the former host of the show, Kristen Curry. So I used to write for all of them, and I remember over time I'd learn how they talk. I knew what they liked, and I could write in their voice essentially.
That's pretty good people IQ, right? The recognition of not only speaking what you need to, but how do I convey that to it's their language, and a congruency where they go, oh, I can pick. I love what you provided.
Absolutely.
To where you read the sscript and it felt like you wrote it because it feels like you.
I feel like I would do good if my co-host was like Heathcliff. Or like Garfield.
Because that's what you have a cartoon voice in your head.
Dear John, I'd like some lasagna. No, he speaks to me.
No, that's great. You guys both have a background from outside of Albuquerque, and obviously had some chances to move out of state, and then you had a chance to move in state. But talk about your experience in Albuquerque. What is it about Albuquerque that's maybe different from other cities?
You want to go first?
You can go first. Ladies first.
So when I moved here, people would see that my Texas ID and they're like, "Why did you come here?" And I didn't really get that question. I was like, what do you mean? Because my experience right off the bat was so pleasant. Everyone truly was really nice. And that I kind of needed. I was in a space in life where I was like, I just want some nice people and a good job and all this stuff. And that's what I was met with when I moved here. And then building my career kind of over time, I was like, this is a great place to be. But just from living here, I have to say that people have been so cool. I don't know how to describe it. So being from Texas, everyone's like, oh, Texas pride, We
know.
Sure. Yeah, and that's cool. But you have that here too in a different sense, because I think ours just comes from a geographical place and a Texas history. Y'all's comes from a cultural place.
Yeah.
Y'all's comes from generations and generations of people that have kind of made New Mexico this cultural icon that it is, whether it be the Hispanic community, indigenous community, whatever, so many deep roots. And that's what I love, because you guys are so proud to be New Mexican, and I love that.
A fault. And let me speak on that, because this is an underlying theme with our
show.
Is
a tattoo on your neck?
Have you guys seen it? No, but because we are so deeply rooted in family and generational, we are slow to change here. So if you'll notice, I mean, Albuquerque's been slow to adapt, grow a downtown, bring in, that young hip vibe that maybe like LA, San Diego has. And so that's always one thing that I feel has been our downfall, is that we're slow to change here in town.
Do you
Some
think
for good,
though
some
that
for bad.
that's okay in a sense? Not that we want people to go elsewhere. We want our people to stay here, right? But it's kind of what makes New Mexico unique, is that we're not covered in franchisement. We're not covered in a lot of.
I agree because that's how you keep culture, right? Here's the issue, and you guys may have seen this in interviews, and there is a camp that says that will never work and resistant to all change. There's a camp that's going for all change. There's someone in the middle of moderates that going, we could use that, but we are stubborn to a fault about change, and we have a lot of naysayers. So what we like about our show is we bring in some yes people, some Yahoo, and here's how it's going to benefit us all. We're not scrapping the culture. We love our ways. I think it's entertaining that Skip and we love lowriders. I would never own one. We need lowriders. Hell yeah.
Yeah. To that aspect, keep it.
Yeah.
So there's some resistance, and so it's a hard thing, because I think change can have this unraveling that people foresee, and it can be scary. So there's some people in the middle that have to go, well, lend myself to keeping culture and progression, but don't worry, we're not going to abandon.
But let's also have some nightlife.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah, no.
That will never work. The scooters got resistance. You guys see that from people? The scooters. They're just going to throw them in the Rio Grande. Well, they're not your scooters.
I found out that you can't drink and then ride one of those scooters.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
right.
You can't do that.
That's drinking and driving.
I've got 6 hours of footage ramping over cars.
I see what you're saying, though. Speaking of nightlife growing, though, one thing that we really love is Quezada's Comedy Club. Y'all ever been out there?
No.
Have not.
Oh my gosh, you guys have
fantastic.
got to go.
What part of
It's
town
so
is it?
cool.
It is. It's
Santa Ana Star Casino.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's on
It's
Bernalillo.
named after Stephen Michael Quezada from Breaking Bad.
Okay.
It is it's in terms of evolving and growing and adding new things. That has been a humongous success. They just finished 1 year out there. They just
I
got
had no idea.
And they won Best of the City for Best Comedy Class,
Yes.
That's
which
cool.
is pretty
And
cool.
what they do is they bring in marquee comedians, but they're also giving local comedians
guys
a
a
chance
voice.
to open
You have to
and
do
host.
that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Our buddy faced it at the Laugh Factory, so I got to see him, and he goes on every night, and I go, wow, that's commendable. But there's also that's how people get discovered. I think that you have to bomb sometimes, and you have to have some local, but you got to start somewhere. And it's just like our talk show experience.
Well, that's good, because I know we've had comedy stores here in and out of business.
Yeah.
But I think if someone's going to take the time to drive up to the casino for it, they are going to be a true fan. They're there to laugh. They're there for a good.
I hope there's people like, they better make me laugh. I drove a long way.
They're bringing in big guys.
They better pay for my gas if I don't laugh for it. You just try to make me laugh. I hate comedy. You have some people that are just waiting to have a bad time, and I hope they convert people. They go, you know what? I like that. Yeah.
Just waiting to have the bad time.
Just like the scooters.
And then they're the ones enjoying it the most at the end.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is great.
Well, this is fun because getting to see you guys, your dynamic on camera and also off camera is fun to be around. Good energy and stuff. But
Thank you.
You talk about some of the changes, or how has your show evolved over the time you guys have worked together? Have you seen, you guys tighten up your set? How have you guys done to grow and kind of take over, maybe get some more ad revenue coming?
Well, I'll tell you this: a big thing for the show is the show for 10 years used to be on Fox New Mexico. Now that is a sister station at KRQE. They have KRQE, which is on CBS, and then Fox New Mexico, of course, and then the CW. The show New Mexico Living used to be only on Fox New Mexico. That was at 9 a.m. It's September of 2023. They decided to move that show over to KRQE,
It's a big
which
reach,
is the
too.
flagship,
Yeah.
and the show airs at 3 p.m.
Yep.
So it goes from 3 to 4, and it leads right into our 4 o'clock
Got it.
news. That alone increased viewership
More eyeballs.
exponentially,
Yeah.
right? And so our show, it's an interesting show because a lot of it is pay for play, essentially. Like, we have a sales department. People that are coming on our show, they're paying to come on it. So we generate revenue in that sense, people coming on the show, interview-wise, and then we also get to go out to businesses. So if they want a special story done, me and Monika will go out there and do a special story on them. That's another way we make money also for the show. And the cool thing about us is we're a two-man band. Like
Okay.
it's like we show up on these like we call them on location shoots, right? Like say we're going over to Linda's Dolce, which is that Italian
That one was fun.
pastry. You know, we show up and it's me, Monika, and the sales rep, and that's it. And Monika do the filming, the writing for it. Monika's the editor. She edits those packages herself. People are always surprised by that when they see us. They're
wow.
like, "Where's your camera guys? We're like, we are the camera guys."
That's
You're a two-man band.
that's what I like too is because I think a lot of people are under the impression and like it's this false imagination of like news reporters have this whatever they
Glamorous
usually
life.
are setting it up. They just wind's blowing their face off. The camera just tipped over. They're doing it all,
Yep.
and it's not as glamorous as they think, but they do a good job of pulling it off to where you think they've got a crew.
Absolutely.
And that what you're doing is that too. And you go, well, it's only us two limiting what we can do, or unlimited.
Right.
So
The grit and the grind of local news is real.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Another thing that I think is really interesting too that I want to talk about is how you get to the anchor desk, right? Like how people become anchors. I was talking to this person. I don't even remember what her name was, but love her. But she was talking about
high profile.
I'm not gonna, I don't know.
She does
We're
good
real
work. That just
close.
slipped my mind.
But she was talking about how she was in college, and she was in journalism school. So I was like, oh, cool. What do you want to do? She was like, well, I want to be an anchor. And I said, oh, okay, good. Like right away. She was like, right away. She was like, I just want to graduate and go be an anchor. I was like, not how it works.
I thought that's how it worked. To be fair.
Yes.
I did too, actually.
Every single
It
anchor
is-
you see sitting at a news desk or a lifestyle set, that person didn't just graduate college and get that job. You have to grind to get
Some
to those desks.
exploitation. I feel like that's what happens, right? I call it that. Even in doctors, when they have them working 48 hours, there's some exploitation. They go, yeah, send the kids there. I would never
Telling
do
ya.
this job myself, eh?
We have to. You are either a producer, you are a reporter,
Yeah.
and oftentimes you are starting. What markets are there? How many are there?
There's like
140?
210.
Yeah, your market 172.
My first market
North
was
Dakota.
167.
Oh, wow.
Right, and so when you finally get to that anchor desk, those anchors you're seeing on those desks, they earned that
They
spot.
did. They worked really, really
They had
hard.
to work low-paying jobs
For
that required
years.
a lot of work when
Years.
it was honestly by themselves.
And a lot of times they take regressive steps. So you start as a
Yes.
reporter and you work 2-3 years as a reporter, and then you have the opportunity maybe to move up in market as a reporter, or you can go down in market to get that anchor desk. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of like give and take. It's,
Yes, yeah. I think that lends itself to being proficient on everything, right? Now that's not a mystery, and they tell you that in any job, right? Try to lend yourself there,
Right.
so you have a conglomerate of skill, and then when you go up, you'll be well-rounded and better off. And for a young person, they go, no, that sucks. I want to be on air, and you're like, yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
That would my one advice to anyone that wants to be a news anchor. They want to get news and they want to get to that anchor desk is you have to understand, one, you need to love what you're doing. If you don't love news and you don't love reporting or writing or producing, if that's something you love, you just want to be a face, you're going to fizzle out really, really quickly. You have to understand that the grit and the grind is going to be tough. You're going to have to work your way through the muck to get to where you want to be. And yeah, so basically my advice would be love reporting. Love, if you want to be in news,
Love
you
that
need
stuff.
to
Or love
news,
producing,
or love
whatever
writing,
aspect it is.
Right, and then work your tail off. You got to work hard. If you get lazy, it'll show.
And
Let
I
me
think,
ask-
go ahead.
sorry, go.
No, I was just
Okay.
say,
I'll go.
Okay.
So it's similar to
Professional
professional
so many
He
things
stole
to
it.
be said.
So similar to professional sports, like Grant has a background in hockey. I played baseball for a while, and I would tell people, yeah, I'm playing pro ball right now. And I had some people be like, same thing, like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. How do I get to be a pro? And like, oh, you want to go
Buy
now?
a wiffle
Just-
ball bat, and then you don't move on.
Years of club baseball. That's
like-
for you.
I mean, small percentage get to the level that you guys
Right.
did, and it's not just because you happened on it.
Yeah,
You
that
worked-
looks fun. I want to be on camera.
I think, yeah, or
That's
I
a lot
want
of
to
people
be
think
a
they just get there
professional
right away.
baseball player, or I want to be whatever it is. Like in social media too, like we only show the highlight reel, right? Like nobody really knows like the grind. And so to piggyback off what Logan was saying really quick, also if you do want to get into the industry, like, and you get down and you get frustrated and you're like, if it's really what you're passionate about and you love it, like don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
Like get through it. It does get better. The grind will eventually ease.
Yeah.
The position, the hours will get better. You don't have to work every Christmas. But if it really is something that you super love, like you gotta bet on yourself
Yeah.
before anybody else will.
I'm so
don't give up
thankful
on
that I
it.
took that prompter job
Yeah.
at Channel 7. Like it was my foot in the door.
What stage did you go, oh, what's happening there? Like, because there's an allure you see, right? And then you go, when you get there, you go, oh, like it's not what you guys think. But you come off like this, we kind of lose a little bit of like, you forget what you come off as. You used to go, they're on air, and by the time you make it on air, like, hi, I'm on air, this is just my job, because you're in the fog, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget getting the host job because you had done reporting beforehand in your smaller markets, correct?
For like 6 weeks.
For like 6 weeks. Monika had been on air in a variety of different capacities before getting the host job at New Mexico Living. I had no on-air experience.
wow.
None. I was like I said, I went from college to Channel 7. I was running the prompter. That was it. And then I became a producer, and I was behind the scenes for, what was it, 6 years?
Yeah, you were my producer for
Very
a couple of
necessary.
years.
So I remember when the host position opened, it was so funny because Chad Brummett, who's now a news anchor at KRQE, he was the original host of New Mexico Living. He's the godfather.
Yeah.
He founded the show,
Man, he
created
did,
10
yeah.
years of that. He created that.
Thanks, Chad.
And so I'll never forget, he knew he was going to be an anchor. He knew he was leaving. So Monika, who had already been the host for a year, it was Chad, Monika, and then me. And they wanted to talk to me about something. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do they want to talk to me about? So we went to Java Joe's. Tell them what I got.
The weirdest breakfast order ever. This dude got a blueberry cheesecake muffin and a green chili chicken quesadilla.
I got a little
Like,
savory, a little
They say well, yeah.
So
That is
there,
weird.
I'm just sitting there stuffing my face. I had honestly, guys, kind of given up on the on-air. I mean, I'm almost 30 years old. You know, a lot of these people who are on air, they
At
get
this
on air.
point, let's point out he's 32.
Yeah, I'm 32 now, but at this time, I think I was
Yeah. No,
29. Yeah, and so I'm
We
like,
are so fucked.
right. And so I was like, I mean, if you're gonna get on air, you gotta do it. And I was like, I just had basically, been like, I assumed I was gonna be behind the scenes, right? And they came to me and worked at Java Joe's, and I had my mouth full of that green chili chicken quesadilla, and it's like coming out my face, and like, how would you feel about maybe being one of the co-hosts of New Mexico Living? And I'm like,
I hope you talked with food in your mouth.
He kind of did.
Yeah.
Spit Take Central almost.
Host me? And so that's whenever I was like, oh wow, this is my moment. This is my time to where I can like maybe step in and get that on-air job that I kind of always wanted, but just you can get pigeonholed really quick into positions in news that maybe necessarily you don't really want.
Yeah.
And so I remember they talked to me about that. I got really nervous, and then I did three auditions? Three auditions that lasted over 3 months' time, right?
Yeah,
And then
it was lengthy.
Yeah, and then I got it, and so I mean,
great.
it was just amazing how the cards, how the stars and the cards all felt, right? It was pretty awesome.
And what I like about your show, and it's very similar to ours in the fact that we do this a lot for, to put Albuquerque on the map, but also for networking. And I think you get to meet some cool business owners, some guys,
absolutely.
like Grant was saying, people that are here to make a change, here to do something different, open a new business. Right. And so, what are some of the cool things that you guys have gotten to know before the public, like, oh my God, this is opening up? Or
So many, like Quezada's Comedy Club, for example.
Yeah,
Now,
it was
but
pretty
break
cool.
a current secret that you know what
Yeah.
only
What do we have?
What do we have? I'm trying to think. What emails did I read today? No,
We had a guy at Sandia Labs that gave us a bomb. And we're not supposed to say anything,
Yeah,
but
don't-
we trust
are these
you
cameras
guys.
on?
Yeah.
I don't know as far as like news that we got to know.
Well,
We
it's
do
funny because we always behind the scenes, like we'll get somebody coming in, like pro wrestling is in Albuquerque, and all kinds of different new shops and stuff that are opening. And so every episode we kind of look at each other like, I don't even know my city anymore.
I know.
All this cool stuff is happening.
It's weird to be such an Albuquerque proponent and then go, I had no idea that was there. And so it speaks to who else doesn't know? Probably a lot of people don't know.
Right.
And you go, these are really good ideas. And there's a lot of good ideas in Albuquerque. It's just that it never gets out there. So it'd be a shame for these things to die because, we believe in them and all it takes is exposure.
It's a great part. That's one thing I love about our show is we give the community a voice unlike anything really. Like if you watch a newscast, right, you'll see those sound bites from people. Those are all edited and cut up, and people get to come on our show and for 5 minutes sit there and tell their story without it unedited. It's
Right.
the whole show it's not edited. It's live. It's as live.
Yeah.
We don't cut and take sound bites and pull things out we didn't like. And so we really get to allow the community to have that voice, that unique voice that not really any other show that we're like dealing with has.
I think the
essentially,
other
right?
thing too that's nice about what we do in terms of like the community aspect is we're pretty positive. Like we talk about the good, like happy things that are going on. A lot of times people will be like, oh, well, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I work for Channel 13. And they're like, oh, I don't watch the news.
Yeah, I know.
It's depressing. And it's like, I get that. It is. It's sad. And so we hope to bring and add some levity to your
You
day.
do.
But we
You
do it
do.
through the guests that get to come on and tell. We're, just kind of the meat
It's a
in
good
this
change of
community.
pace. I watched your
Yeah.
show. It's nice. It's like you kind of come up there uplifted, and it's not so brooding because the news is
Right.
the focal points and sensationalism is.
Logan's usually singing.
I'll sing whenever on the show.
Big singer?
But,
Oh my
not
God.
really. Only in the shower or when the cameras turn on.
It's
Then
And that's the thing. You do a
Amazing.
segment where he's in the shower on the show.
roll the hills alive.
sound of music.
Every day.
And cut.
I hope your kids are in bed by 4 because couldn't blur out a lot of the shower scenes. Okay, so we were supposed to wrap up 3 minutes
No, but
ago.
yeah, there's a couple other things.
okay.
We do have a couple of viewer questions.
Okay, cool.
Kind of going back to what's one of the most viewer questions, by the way. Hey, thank you for your submissions.
Piling in.
Do we have, Mark, do we have the intro for viewer questions? And if
What?
not, yeah.
That was me before puberty, yeah. Me in third grade.
Logan, what's one secret talent or surprising hobby that you have that maybe our guests or viewers wouldn't have guessed?
Secret talent or hidden hobby?
Big Peloton guy, I heard.
Yes.
Oh my God, do we
not
have
really
enough
a
time
secret.
for that?
I love
Say
my.
anything.
Don't say anything. Look, can you tell them on my Peloton, guys? I was molded by the pop punk era of music. So
Respect.
dating back to when I was between about 11 and 15, we're talking long hair, black, Hawthorne Heights, Taking Back Sunday, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus.
Yeah.
Those were my bands, right? Fall Out Boy. Travis Barker was my idol. So I think that, a fun thing about me was I loved the drums. So I had took professional drum lessons for like 10 years. So I can smash on the drums, like hardcore still. Really wish I would have taken guitar lessons though, because nobody wants to hear me do a drum solo at the campfire.
The ladies
at
hate
all.
it. Yeah, ladies hate it.
Yeah, so I can play the drums, and pop punk music, punk rock, pop punk, whatever you call it, molded me as an adult. Still molded me to this day. Or
Monica,
molded
sorry,
me.
real quick for you.
No, you're good.
So if you had to switch careers with anyone in Albuquerque for a week, I'm sure you've got to meet
Not
some cool
us, like,
celebrities.
besides
yeah,
us,
we're-
yeah.
my wife won't let
Switch
that.
careers?
Tim Keller.
Anybody in a week, who would it
wanna be
be?
a
Why?
politician.
Tim Keller, become the mayor.
No, I don't want to be the mayor. That's a really difficult question. I feel like I'd have to like mold it over. I think I'd want to do something just completely out of the realm of what I currently do. Like he brought up Linda's Dolce earlier, this adorable Italian woman that owns it. I think that would be a blast to be like an authentic Italian baker for like a week because
Totally.
I'm not inherently like a creative person, and I find baking to be a very creative like
Okay.
art form.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be very challenging and fun to tap into not only the science that I think there is to baking, but also like what can I do with this? So that might be like kind of my quickest answer for you. If I had
Yeah.
a little more time, I might mull it
That'd
over.
be a fun segment. Just don't even give you a recipe, just instructions.
what I can
or
come
just
up
a bunch
with.
of a bunch of
She can
ingredients.
bake and cook really well.
What other? Is there a golf superintendent that I could switch?
Come on, yeah, be the head of
Yeah,
golf
there
at like.
I'll be the
Paradise
PGA
Hills.
pro at ADO.
There
no,
we
I'm just
go.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Huge golfer. She is an amazing golfer. She walks me up and down the course. Seriously.
What's your favorite course in town?
In town, I love Sandia.
Sandia's
I have
the best.
yet to get out to Twin Warriors. I really want to play that one. I played Paco a handful of years ago. Absolutely gorgeous. Almost gave up the sport. So challenging.
Really?
She's
but I
shooting in
love-
the 80s, guys. Like, have you forgot? You broke 80 before, haven't
No,
you?
I've shot 80.
That's great.
That's great.
If I'm breaking 100, it's like a miracle.
I'm
from God.
95 all day, no matter what.
Yes.
Hey, you-
just good enough to enjoy
enjoy it.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too. And then the second 9.
So real quick, just for us, for Grant and I mean, give me some of the pain points for production and growing, and some of the things that you've done to kind of, like you were saying earlier, you become great at delegating, and just because if you have to do a show 5 days a week, how on the earth do you keep it running? Because that's a lot of moving pieces.
You take it.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. We have our sales department who's constantly looking to find, interviews and bring in guests and stuff that way. We also have a booker. His job is just to find interviews and guests and interesting stories
That's
as
huge.
well. It is huge.
That's huge.
And then, of course, we have our producer. Our booker, his name's Eli Crow. Our producer is Adrian Chavez. He's from Truth or Consequences. He's a New Mexico guy. And then, of course, me and Monica both being former producers, now hosts. We have a lot of really great minds that are coming together to create this 1 hour show. So with the help of sales, bringing those guests to us. We Eli does, obviously, and Adrian, we aren't tasked with having to go find the guests. The sales department helps us with that. So that's a huge,
That's
huge
hard.
thing. It helps us
It's
so much.
very challenging.
There's a whole department that their job is to find guests for our show.
Yeah.
And so the show is constantly booked,
Well,
which
and
is nice.
just speaking, it's finding the guests is one thing, getting them to commit is another thing, but then
Right.
actually getting them to show up. I mean, we had one guest where we were like filming, and we're like, where's the guest? And I call the guest, I'm like, hey, where are you? She's like, huh? Oh yeah, no, I'm sick. And I'm like, And I'm just staring at the camera like,
Yeah.
all right, guess
We've dealt with that.
show's
Yes,
over.
You've dealt with
you've
that.
got to think on your feet in that moment, and just like
How do we feel?
you guys experience, we have as well, where we'll be ready to do the show, and our one interview for the day can't make it, and it's like, okay, so how do we 2 minutes
Literally.
before the show start fill this 5-minute block with something
Live,
with something that's so relevant and
We'll just show
engaging? I don't want to
videos
just
of fat
throw
cats.
something
Yeah,
in there.
if you
you
guys
know?
have that chemistry, it helps you fill the time. We like to complain about the guests that canceled and just
Yeah.
talk about
Oh yeah, it can be very annoying sometimes. We're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that bozo on here.
What do you
anyway.
mean you got
The show
snowed
is
in?
going to hit
I
a
don't
new low
understand.
today. Thank God. I hate having trash on as our guests.
Real quick, let's chat about a couple of the charities that you guys are involved in. I know you're emceeing a couple big events coming up. How do people get involved, or what can we do to help grow you?
Man, we are involved in a lot of charities throughout the year. One that we love so much is ALS New Mexico. CEO and President Katie Crouch. She's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, I know Katie.
Yes,
Of
okay.
course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're great
so
friends with
I
her.
love
We need to bring her on.
Katie.
I just spent the
Yes.
weekend in Red River with Katie.
Yeah.
Fun
Oh,
fact.
she'd be such a
yeah,
good guest.
and so we love doing stuff with ALS New Mexico. The women's.
We're emceeing the Women in Tech
Yes.
luncheon that's coming up, and in March is their awards. Really,
Honestly, that's a
anything.
thing. It's
We just
the
like to be
Montezuma Ball,
involved.
obviously.
Oh, that
we
was
did
so
the
fun.
That's where I
Montezuma
met you
Ball.
guys.
yes, that was
Montezuma.
so fun.
We love getting out into the community.
Yeah, we just like to be a part of whatever we can be a part of.
Right, talking with people in the community, getting to MC their events. We're open to basically about anything, but yeah, those are several that we really, really love working. We obviously work with Animal Humane New Mexico constantly.
Yes.
Love them. They have a segment in our show where
Every
we're constantly
week.
trying to get dogs adopted, adoptable dogs,
Nice.
forever homes. So those would just be some to name, but yeah, we love
We've done some
getting out in the
stuff
community.
with,
emceeing events. You need
Aaron's
MCs?
Connections.
Yeah.
That are going to bring the heat?
Yeah.
Us, or maybe these guys. Maybe it's all of us together.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
so a dynamic
And I can't
squad.
rap.
We'll all have
Two
segments
MCs.
and stations.
And then last thing we'll touch on is just the Bolo Awards.
Oh, wow.
The Bolo Awards.
Wow.
Yeah, let's hear about this.
Best of the Land of Enchantment Awards.
Yes, Best of the Land of Enchantment
that's cool.
Awards. Those were brand new last year. The name was from our late general manager, Billy Anderson. He came up with it. So I actually really think it's kind of a fun little
cool
play on
bolo.
word. Yeah, the logo is very. But basically, it's an expansion of kind of what you see with the Best of the City from Albuquerque the magazine. We wanted to do something similar to get the public involved and hear from the communities around the state, not just Albuquerque, about some of their favorite places and the things that make where they live feel like home. And so with that first inaugural year, you keep it a little small. So we stuck to food. Who doesn't love food? New Mexico has great food. And we just asked people from around the state to send in, what their favorite donut place was or who had the best green chili, and kind of whittled it down from there. But it was really fun because I feel like I learned about a lot of places that I didn't know were here.
Yeah.
But I also think people enjoy their voices getting heard in that way. Hey, I like this
Right.
place. Hopefully we can get them some recognition.
And that's the thing for our show is we don't just air in Albuquerque. We air to the entire state basically.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, our show goes to Roswell, it goes to Clovis, it
think
goes
in
to
Southern
Hobbs, it goes down
California,
to Belen and Socorro and we go.
TRC
yeah,
and
that's
Deming.
Not
and-
Las Cruces though.
Yeah, for whatever reason, we don't
El
get Las
Paso-
Cruces.
It's weird. We don't go to Las Cruces. They get El Paso news, but Durango gets
Gets our
us.
news.
Oh,
So
that's right, yeah.
yeah.
And we're here to let Las Cruces have it. Listen,
Yeah.
you change your ways, or we're not coming down there either. We're going to boycott with you.
So yeah,
Put them back on.
We wanted to branch out and let the state know, we love Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're located here, but we know the state has so much to
So
offer.
much
We're going
to
to El
offer.
Paso on Las
I
Cruces.
think for the new bolos this year, we should add best podcast.
There we go.
Best podcast.
There we go. I think we should.
I appreciate it. All right, well, the polls are open. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Logan and Monika, thank you guys
Thanks.
so much
That's
from New
fun.
Mexico
Thank you,
Living,
guys.
KRQE.
This was awesome.
Every day. Now, you guys are hardworking,
Yeah, well.
bringing the energy. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks for
We'll
having
have
us.
links to your website and Instagram. Stay tuned. Coming up, it's everybody's favorite, Skip's Tips. This is UABQ.
Do the sound. What a refreshing segment. Fun to talk to them. Wicke and Rader, good people. Just follow them. Great show, 3 o'clock to 4 on Channel 13. Now we're going to get into segment 3 with Skip's Tips.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It Skip's Tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun in real estate or in real life. Buyer beware. Older homes can be charming, but there's 3 major things you need to look for before you make that purchase. On older homes, typically you'll see old cast iron sewer lines. And while the home may be charming, you never know what's going on in that pipe underneath the house. If that shit breaks, that shit's on you. Aluminum wiring. Sometimes older homes will have aluminum wire versus copper wiring. Not that there's anything bad with that, it's just something you need to be made aware of to check those outlets to make sure they're functioning properly. Sometimes you can do updates to do what's called pigtailing to add copper wire to those outlets, make them a little bit more secure. And number 3, the last thing you gotta look out for in an older home is an antiquated roof system. 3 types of roofs you can have are tar and gravel, rolled asphalt, or TPO. And these older homes are gonna have tar and gravel, which tend to leak after a while. So, what's been your experience in contract on an older home? Did the shit hit the fan? Either way, share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Oh yeah.
Season 6 fucks.
Look around, take it all in. That's what you're gonna get from now on. Very rich. Very rich, like us, very rich platform.
All right, I think we're out of time. This is all about you, ABQ.
Wait a minute, I got 30 more minutes to sing to say help, please.
You're watching you, ABQ.